It's just want to mark this. It's November the 29th. We're in Puerto Vallarta, which is 40 kilometers north of the country of Panama and Costa Rica. The Caribbean Ocean on our in behind us, just following a rainstorm, and we've just come from the set of 100 Days in the Jungle.
Welcome to paradise.
I think first of all, a little golf clap, little clap, round of applause for Michael.
Yeah, they made
Brendan
did it.
David
Brendan, they go through their jungle.
Very good.
Alive.
The jungle, yeah.
That's it.
A few injuries, but
What is this?
In Divine, I think he's got a little parasitic
there's a rum.
thing
He
here.
does.
He thinks he does.
He does. No, apparently they checked it out, and he's got something
11
growing in his
shots
arm.
in the bum.
Something's living in his arm. He's got to get the shots.
Something's living in the
Something's living in his arm.
I freaked him out, I think, because I told him the story of Rod having a worm in his neck
Yeah.
when he got back.
He had a worm in his neck?
Yeah. I could see that happening. Yes.
Oh, completely, man. They just
No,
like
like
the jungle.
you
Just
can't. We're pulling ticks out of our neck just standing in the jungle.
Easy.
I'm serious.
I know that.
every square inch is alive out there. Was it
You
ticks?
look at
Was
the
it
ground
ticks?
and there's
Ticks?
about
Was it ticks?
1,000
Was it
different
just
species
little
of
black
bugs, and there's one right there. See?
There you go. That's a tick?
Okay. No. That's not a tick, but it's a
could kill you.
flying ant.
It could kill you.
I'm just saying that everything we have is covered in bugs at some point.
For those of you who didn't see the movie television piece, it's about 100 Days in the Jungle, and they have spent the better part of 3 weeks in the jungle here in Costa Rica and got eaten alive. Humbling experience.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
jungle?
Yeah. You're
Not as humbling as the actual experience, but you know, to a degree.
What is it?
It's a rum.
Yeah, but what rum?
It's called Centenario. No, take the whole thing right down. I'm not a drinker. This absolutely, you get a kind of a caramel afterglow. But it's not a liqueur. This is a rum. But it tastes like butterscotch after you drink it. Is this the one they say, this will betray you?
Completely wrong.
That's the one.
That's
It's the face
catch-
plant.
Oh, no.
Check
That's
it. That's the logo of Moon. Check it.
local moonshine. Is what will betray you.
What is it? It's a white bottle with a red label.
So the skull and crossbones on it.
Chest.
No.
Sure. Anyways, but it's
Exactly.
brutal. It's
Yeah.
like peroxide.
Shine.
Is that something? Yeah.
I wanted to start by thanking you for being here tonight, because there's going to be a party in this room shortly, and we'll abandon it as soon as the band shows up.
As soon as the pig is roasted.
Why? I'm going to throw this out generally. Why did you become an actor?
Go, Peter, go.
Why? No, you can think about that if you want, because I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Why did you become an actor?
I became an actor because someone asked me if I wanted to be an actor. But really, I've wanted to be an actor since I was 3 years old.
When did you start? When you were 4?
No, I was 13.
Oh, 13.
So I had good time to like sort of develop in my head ideas of what it is, kind of.
What was it about it, though, that made you want to do it?
I think I don't know what it was when I was 3. You know, just whatever. Kids,
Say around
kids when they're
11,
3.
what were you thinking? 'Cause my
But
kids
like,
are
I think
11,
the trip
12.
to Universal Studios sort of
Really?
secured it for me. I think I was about 6.
Weren't you writing your own scripts then?
And yeah, in elementary, I was
Yeah.
writing scripts and performing them in the elementary assemblies and stuff like that.
Were your parents in the business at all? Like,
No, not at all. No, my mom, like, right now she works in a grocery store, and my dad's a mechanic from Holberg, northern Vancouver Island.
so you entertained
My
the family
grandma.
and stuff?
Yeah.
Used to just like at
Family
Christmas.
reunions.
Yeah.
It was like
I used to do that
go
too.
up and sing the song and do the dance.
I have a skit or
And we'll
something.
tape you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my sister was an
Christmas
actor,
and all
so
that.
us.
No, let me come back to Peter for a second. Why did you?
Oh, he
or were
forgot
you
the
even
question.
conscious?
Well, I certainly don't feel as valid now. I mean,
You're an actor.
I got into it because there was no exam in grade 11 in theater arts. I was going to be a visual artist, and there was an exam in grade 11, and I just couldn't take having another exam at the end of the year. And in grade 11, theater arts didn't have an exam. I got into it, and I got bitten. So
In that year?
I actually
in
got
grade
a
11,
D in
yeah.
acting
Grade 11.
class in grade 11.
Tough class.
Yeah, I was just never there.
Yeah, well, I got an A in grade 11.
Yeah,
Yeah, but wasn't writing scripts when I was 6, but.
How about you?
I think I'm probably similar to Peter. Like Brendan, I kind of, you fill out your, how many credits do you need in 5 years? You
Yeah.
need 32? Oh, and yeah, I remember sitting in the library going, wood shop, that'll be good. Gym, that'll be good.
And no essays.
And someone said, oh, theater, man, you lie on the floor and make noises, you get a credit for that.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm there,
I'm nice.
And
Was
then-
that in high school or university?
in high school. Then had an extraordinary, usually it's the gym teacher with the 3-week course in drama, and you do Oklahoma every year. And this woman was I did 32 plays between grade 9 and grade 13.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so she was like, her work ethic was like that. She instilled me. That's when the bug kind of bit me.
This is a similar sort of thing. When I was in high school, in grade 11, is when I started it. And it was an English teacher, and I think their job was just to get you interested in plays and stuff, and you did a lot of improv stuff, and most of the class was just the students, having a good time making each other laugh, basically. And then in grade 12, we got this theater teacher, Bob Helfa, and he actually was passionate about theater, and he actually made us calm down and actually get serious about it. I think the first time we actually had to get up and do monologues, and it was nerve-wracking because suddenly you had to be serious, right? And you had all your peers there who for a year you've just been making laugh, and all of a sudden you got to make them cry, and sometimes you did, and that was kind of cool, So then you sort of go, well, maybe there's a power to this that's worth looking into.
It's rare, and it makes you really pay homage to the teachers.
Sure.
The people that you come in contact with the very first time.
They give you that experience that first time when the penny drops.
Yeah.
There's that person
They
that can
open
do
the door
that.
to a possibility, perhaps.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I had a teacher like that, Fred Uringer at Queen's University, and I got into it for the same reason. I had some difficult courses. I was going to be a lawyer, and I had a free elective, 2 of them. I took religion and I took drama. Because I thought
What a
they'd
perfect
it'd be easy.
combination.
They were in the same building, too. It was really good. And I figured broads, there's going to be good-looking girls at university in that course, more than there's going to be in commerce or something, I would have thought. So, yeah, I was right about that, too. It worked, but, I didn't want to be an actor. I wanted to do lighting. I was shy, I suppose. And then I had this teacher. And I remember I was doing, suddenly last summer, I was the doctor who comes to meet this woman who's sitting in a carnivorous garden, right? And she's going to ask this guy to lobotomize her daughter-in-law. This is the whole purpose of the meeting. So I come in the door. Before I get my first line, Fred's going, I didn't see the garden. Well, I was looking right there. Yeah, but you didn't see it. What's he talking about? No, I go back and I do it. Come in. I didn't see the garden. And they move on. And like 2 weeks later, I hadn't even done my first line yet. I didn't see the garden. I'm looking at the garden. No, you didn't see it. And then one day, he's down there on the floor, and he's like pretending he's a carnivorous plant. He's so impatient with me. Yeah, I'm supposed to see the garden. Oh, okay. And from that point, that was the experience I had. That I can do this pretty easily. I can get that. A little bump. And that's the hardest thing, I think, for most actors. And you recognize it in other good actors first time you even look at them when they go action. You see, boy, they're really there with that, and operating at a different level.
I should have asked you this going in. Who knows who and where and how? Who's worked together?
I don't think any of us.
I've worked with him a couple of times. I've worked with Michael only once, sadly. And Peter, this is our first time.
I haven't worked with any of these guys.
Do you get to see each other? We presume that you get to see each other.
You know of each other's work.
Yeah.
Until you meet the person,
Yeah, I saw Michael out when I was in L.A. Brendan, I'm a huge fan of Brendan's. Ever since he first started, I saw Little Criminals. And then I've met...
Little the shit he was.
God, he's good in it. I can only say that because he's not actually here. But I'm just such a fan of Brendan's. We did a film this winter in New Brunswick, which I'm really happy about.
Is there one thing?
Brendan's really good in that.
Is there one thing that most surprised you about acting that you didn't expect? Either what it did to you or what it did to other people or reactions? Anything surprised you? Even now? Why are we looking at you?
I think that's a long answer to a question. I mean, I think there's something that's surprising about the process all the time. I'm always being surprised by stuff, but I couldn't specifically tell you what it is that surprises me.
And that's part of the beautiful thing about it is that you're being available to surprise all the time. Like no matter how long you've done it, you're always you kind of put together your toolbox and your process, and you come in and each part and each role and each film has its own indigenous kind of surprises, and being available to those surprises is a part of the brilliant part of the process.
And
Just discovering a new part of yourself.
one of the great things about it as a profession is that you're constantly learning stuff. Whether you like it or not, you're learning about whether it's the human condition or whether it's the process of a particular job. I mean, I worked on a film in Vancouver that was all about the space program, and we actually had, the actual astronauts came in and they were working with us, and that was just, you're not really learning about the human condition, but just to learn about NASA and that kind of stuff is just like, wow, and that's something I never would have thought that would have happened to me.
It's like a liberal education in any atmosphere you throw yourself into. You go, gee, a pipeliner, I didn't know about that, and that's great.
But you ask questions on the set. You want to know how many bolts it takes to do up this pipe.
Yeah, he
6 or 8.
He consumes every minute.
You want to know that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I heard you were anal like that.
I mean, part of that was just like, that these guys, these guys and the families of these guys are going to watch this, and that scene was like one of the scenes up front, and you kind of go, if you don't buy, and if they don't buy the fact that this is what they do and this is how you do it, then you lose them somewhere. So you want to pay, attention to that kind of detail.
Your entrance is the big deal. I had a chance to work with Olivier when I lived in England, and that's what he used to go over and over and over about. The first entrance, don't sweat the rest of it, and find some opportunity for some kind of circus act thrill that you can give the audience. That's what
Did he define that?
Yeah, like he would always pick some kind of almost a stunt thing. If he was doing Hamlet, he would do a double flip off the second riser
And all of a sudden,
first
boom,
scene.
and kill Laertes, when Laertes tried to come after him. He'd always, even when he did the O'Neill play, what's the famous? Long Day's Journey. And he was, at this point, he was already racked with cancer. He's jumping backwards off the table in the drunk scene. I mean, he's unbelievable, the guy. But that's his first entrance. He would actually redesign sets. He was telling me when he did Dance of Death. He had them rebuild all the arches. He did it in a few of his films too when he was in Hollywood. He insisted they reshaped the whole entranceway when he first came into a movie, because you lose the audience after that. And so the good actors instinctively know, if I don't satisfy that cop who's watching it, if I'm playing a cop, the guy that helped me with this part, if he's not buying it, no one's buying it, and I've wasted it. And we can stop a director from walking into walls like that. And if we're thinking of those things, and Canadian actors are, for me, are very impressive that way. Is that they're way out in front of most things they're doing.
We'll get there. Yep.
Oh. Is that what it is? Centenario?
I got 3 pills.
I thought it was the
In Centenario Veritas
No,
or
it's just
something.
like it says Ron Centenario. I thought it was Ron Centenario, but I think Ron Centenario.
I'm gonna meet this guy.
Because I don't like the drink at all. There's alcohol.
We are back in Costa Rica,
What other,
just off the set of 100 Days in the Jungle, and we're talking with the boys of the Caribbean.
there's no other profession know what I think of.
Which profession?
It's not this profession.
What's the
Like the all cylinders firing kind of, this is,
Serious around bar here,
there's no other place where you get to like, tax yourself and be available in the same way as this profession.
You're drained at the end of the day.
And you're fully exposed at the end of the day, and it demands every piece of you. Like if you go into commerce or you go into anything else, it demands certain little parts of you, and then you take all the parts that it doesn't demand, and you have a yearning to go and sit around a campfire and be told a story. But when you're the storyteller, you have an onus to kind of bring all that stuff around the campfire.
You get a sense that you set something in motion with yourself, and then you're along. You, the person sitting here, is along for the ride.
When it's working, for me, I know that's when it's working the best, is where you can get out of your way and just let the story tell itself. It's like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, the horse rider and the horse.
gotta have a good
Like
script.
you gotta let the horse. Yeah, you gotta have a good script, and then you let it play you.
The best acting you ever sort of witness is when you walk out of the theater and you're referring to the characters in the film as opposed to the actors in the film.
Right.
As
And
opposed to
that's your job,
when you're saying, I loved it when you know, Rick did that thing, as
Right.
opposed to I loved it when Humphrey Bogart did that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
And, you know, and the weird thing about the medium too is that, you know, that's why like awards and stuff like that seem so antithetical to me, is because it picks apart something that's meant to be cohesive.
Exactly.
You know, like you work so hard in a medium that requires so many people to make it possible that when you walk out of a film that is cohesive, you walk out going, that story moved me. And every discipline was invisible. You know, like I didn't see the costumes, I didn't see the lighting, I didn't see the acting, I didn't hear the sound score, and the whole thing transported me. And that means a lot of people in a row handed that little bird hand to hand and allowed it to fly because they were out of their own way.
When you're shooting, guys, I'll open this. Can you tell? Do you have that gut instinct when you know that this is on the mark?
You think you do sometimes, but you can be fooled. It's a 50-50 shot like anything, really. I mean, I think if you make that assumption all the time, you really keep yourself sharp. The script has to be there, but you know, we've all seen films that are terribly shot, terribly acted. Story's great, you don't care. You know, and the nice thing about the Canadian actors, and certainly the directors like Sterling who are working, is the closer they can get it to a documentary, the happier they are. Whereas other countries favor a more like a resolute portrayal. I think that the yearning here from the artists anyway is to get it so realistic. It blends everything, like Michael was saying. And audiences like that, it's a significant, great time waster, which is what that's all we're doing anyway.
Brendan, can you watch a film and see it as a film, as opposed to breaking it down and looking at the scenes and watching the performances?
No, I watch a lot of performances, and so much that you can get so enveloped in one performance, one actor.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I just lose the story completely, depending on the film, obviously. Like, films is different.
That's true too.
It's
You know, I'm a big. I like watching movies, so I'm not when I watch films, I'm not particularly looking at anything, you know, one thing or studying somebody's style or whatever. I mean, I obviously can acknowledge if it's really bad acting, and then I'll usually start talking to the television set, but or the screen or wherever I happen to be watching it. But you know, I think there's certain validity to that too. I mean, I like bad movies sometimes because they're a lot of fun to watch. But that's really only a professional love as opposed to. I think, you know, ultimately a really good film. Its job is as much as I think it is sort of significant time wasting, I think that a really good film is the job of a good film, and the job of good theater and good television is to actually reach out and say, you know, this is you. Yep. Right? Yeah. Do you see yourself here? Well, take note, because that's you.
And you know what? I remember, like, you were talking about early theater teachers and stuff. One of the first books that high school theater teacher ever handed me was a book called Mirrors for Man.
Yeah.
And it was that whole idea of, like, you know what? Here you are. Yeah. You know, and if you can fulfill that function, you know, then you know you've served this kind of shamanistic, you know, responsibility.
One of my very best friends, a guy named Jim Elodie. Do you guys know Jim? No. Well, you will. And Jim Elodie is a fantastic guy. He's a filmmaker in Toronto, and he once told me about, he'd read a book about the Inuit culture and one particular tribe up there, but they have shamans up there. Most native tribes have got shamans. And just on the subject of shamanism, I don't know if actors are necessarily shamans. I think that's a pretty high praise. But one of the things he talked about in this book was that in that culture, I mean, you're up at the North Pole, and I mean, one false move and you're dead, right? So the culture is actually very stoic and very repressed and very emotionally repressed. And if two guys get into an argument, they don't voice it. And what happens is that the shaman goes outside of the tribe and does all of the emotional stuff. Right. Does all, and basically one of the rituals is that, you know, he dives under the ice, like freezing cold water.
But you know what? That's not too far off being romantic about, you know, the world that we live in. You know, we live in a world that is stoic and that is repressed. And
I know. I just don't want to sort of actually pat ourselves on the back and say we are spiritual leaders here. We're spiritual leaders, man. You know,
we got the face plants in the mud for 2 weeks.
But to a certain degree, yes, to a certain degree, actors and writers and directors and everybody within this industry, there's a certain amount of that, of going under the ice and trying to express the emotions that as a society we tend to be very, you know, repressive about, you know, and because we need to survive. You know?
Who's been thrown off sets? Why am I looking at you?
Why are you looking at me?
I'm still young. I've got
I'd rather die than admit it, but it's never actually happened.
No.
Anybody else thrown off set?
I mean, I'm sure they wanted to throw me off set. But I don't think I've ever had anything to do with anybody.
We see them all the time. Love scenes. Tell me about the first time you did a love scene and how it went.
In the pornos or in the regular?
No, not the Just
First time I ever did a love scene was in high school in a scene study class. So a scene from a play called Blue Denim, and it was the sort of the first kiss. I don't know if is that valid?
that's valid. How about a film first love scene?
Uh,
With 50, 60 people standing around.
well, you talking about kissing or?
Yeah,
I mean,
I did Paris, France.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That wasn't the first love scene. That was
every fucking.
that was the first time I ever was walking around like monkey ass. Love scenes and nudity are two different things, right? So the first love scene I ever did was for an MOW, and it was with a woman named Jennifer Rubin, and it was very nerve-wracking, and I didn't know what to do, and she'd obviously done a million of them before. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but
We'll bleep her name out. It's
but you know what? She was really cool, and I mean, she directed it basically. She said, "Well, it's gonna all be very, you kiss me here and do this and do that." But I mean, love scenes and nudity are all very weird. I mean, you hear the stories of people who actually, do the deed, on.
I think something's
I-
deadly
I've
wrong.
never
If
come
that
across
happens,
that
that
it's
is
the-
wrong.
I could
You come across that? I never have.
I feel the most actually disconnected.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's the worst. It's nothing to do with acting at all. It's
Exactly.
the only
The only
non-fake
point where you
thing in
can't
movies.
reach that point that you want to reach.
Violence is a gas. Taking somebody's head off and mushing their brains in is fun to do because it's fake. But that stuff is actually contact.
My first love scene was with Sarah Pauly, naked in a bathtub in a freezing cold garage
Was the water one?
in Winnipeg.
Did it make
The
the
water was lukewarm. I asked him for that
Yeah, nice
because
one.
I was petrified.
Yeah, because you get that cold water effect.
No, I am very scared and nervous, and it's cold here. Okay,
Shrinkage.
say everything but that. But anyways, yeah, it's terrifying.
I mean, it's the most unerotic thing you'll ever do. Like,
Yeah,
a
for
love
sure.
scene in a film is like, first of all, it's such a technical thing with 6 people standing around, and now you're gonna fall slow motion into the pillow that is like, they run a camera at like this, at the speed of a lawnmower. Whee! Okay, go. And it looks like this when you fall. Whee! Okay, go again. Whee! Go again. But the other thing about love scenes that I've always been a real bugbear about, and it always proves true in the writing, is that a love scene has to be a scene. A love scene has to be a scene.
Yeah, it's like a stunt or
it is
something.
it is a scene between two people. It has a beginning, middle, and end. It has a dialogue about character. If it's just like montage of body parts, then you're in trouble. But if it's like if it's fulfilling a function, telling something about how these characters make love, how these
what's really
how these
going on.
I
characters
actually
relate.
had a script that said gratuitous sex scene here.
Yeah.
So we
to
usually try and make
explain
him
the
into,
thing.
make
So,
him make a
we all
story
know
out
what
of it.
we're doing.
But all the forces are against you because they all want to shoot it like this and this.
Yeah. I mean,
you got a high
the
shot.
bottom line is
you
you've set up a character at the beginning of the film, and the character has an arc, and it ends at the end of the film, and like right in the middle of the film, there's the love scene, and 9 times out of 10, the producers don't want you to be in character for that scene. They want to put the soft filters on the camera, and they want you to be all slow and mushy, and it's like, well, no. The best love scenes I've ever seen was in Mad Dog and Glory with Robert De Niro and Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
And it was and they actually had 2 love scenes, and they used it to show his character arc.
Completely about character. For sure.
So, it can be really fun.
Oh yeah. Career and relationships.
Silence pervades over the table.
I've had a 5-year relationship, so pretty much ever
Does
since
dogs
I
count?
started, I've had this amazing support for what I'm doing.
For 5 years?
Who's sitting there over there. Yeah, and I believe that has kept me
Is she in
a
the
real person because I was 13 when I started, so you could go anywhere when you're 13.
Especially
You're meeting
now.
a lot of people, and I could have been 16 in LA and into a whole different scene, So she's from Hornby Island. I'm from Courtney, Vancouver Island. And she kept me there.
Cool.
You know, really, when I was everywhere else. I was always there, and I
You
always
went back
had her
home.
to come back to. And she's been the closest thing in my life for 5 years.
Nick?
Well, I've had some disastrous relationships, but I don't know if it's from the career. But I mean, relationships not about women, but for my kids, like this Da Vinci thing's been the greatest thing ever happened to my kids, because I get them like 3 months a year while I'm in the summer, and they're allowed to come to work every day with me. They come and work. They go working. They go when I'm not even on call. They still get picked up.
A regular schedule.
You know, we have the greatest time. No mothers. I got them all for 3 months, complete 18, 12, and 7 there now. And we all get along great. It's like if the fight was on TV, you know, like I usually win that one. But
I've just heard conversations. I had conversations with guys who just said, at some point, I made the wrong choices. I should have been relationships and not career, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's a tough. I mean, it's a fine line. I'm married, and I've had this. I'm married to a wonderful woman, Tammy Isbell, who's an actress, and we've been going out for 7 years, and we've been married for a year and a half, and she's my backbone. She's what keeps me going. I mean, she's. So there again, it's like I think you can make it work. I mean, I've heard that the best people for people in this industry are people who aren't in this industry, and I don't agree with that necessarily because
you can't make any rules at
they
all.
can't. They don't understand it, you know. And if I'm away for 2 weeks, you know, Tammy doesn't like that, but she understands it, and vice versa.
She knows what world you're in.
She was doing a series last year called Paradise Falls, and she was up in Muskoka for about a month, and I didn't see her, and I didn't like that at all. But you get it, you understand it, so you sort of it becomes a real partnership of understanding and compassion, which has really worked well for us.
Michael, have you found a balance?
Yeah, you know, it's the same thing. You know, you want someone who is it. You know, the question becomes: is it easier for someone who's not in the business to understand what it's like to be in the business, or is it easier for someone? And you know, both. You know, my significant relationships have been with people in the business, so you're always riding that kind of tightrope. You know, like the work demands a kind of a. You know, you're going off to some other place, and it's not just like the accountant off for 3 weeks on some location, business trip somewhere. It's like you know that you're living in intimate settings, and you know that whole world exists, and you just have to.
And you meet an entirely different world of people, and places, and you go away for a month, and you're completely submerged in another way of thinking. To the point where when you come back, you're slightly different.
And you have to, you know, like if there's anything about relationships, it's like, you know, you know, whether or not you go off to the store for 5 minutes and come back, you're always like, within that 5 minutes, you've met, you've seen, you've had a conversation in the street, you've noticed something going on, you've had life experience, and your interior world has been changed even in that 5 minutes. So, you know, to come back and to communicate what that is, and to just stay in touch with those two things is really and I you know, for me, I find it, I know it would, it's easy, as many challenges as it presents, it's easier having someone in the business, you know, who understands, you know, the world that you have to immerse yourself in.
The ride.
Yeah, who understands the ride. And you're always, you know, and when you're in a relationship like that, you're always on one side of the ride. You're always like at home waiting, you know, how was that? How did that scene go? How was the rap party? Or you're on one side of those things, you know.
Make no bones about it. There are temptations on the set, on any set, that are very easy to fall into.
But I think that, you know, but that would be true whether or not you were in commerce, or whether or not, you know, the accountant who goes away.
More so in straight life.
Gentlemen, I beg to differ.
Because I'm not that attracted to...
You're spending a lot of time around some incredibly beautiful women.
I'm not attracted to actresses that much, though.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
funny
but I
thing,
think
you know?
that's a bit of a cliche. I think
It is a
there
cliche.
are a lot of
It's like for
beautiful
the
women,
first
but
day
are they
they're
really beautiful
outstanding, and then
women?
there's
You know,
another
like
And you have to, whether
I
you're the
understand it.
accountant
You know
or whether
what I
you're
mean?
the actor, you have to make a decision in your relationship about what you deem important. And if you deem that union important and coming back together into that world important, then you will serve that.
It's just that sometimes when you're working on something, you're having such a good time, and it's a sexy feeling. There's like, the creative process is close to sexuality anyway. So you tend to get really horny, and that's when you can do stupid shit.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. The problem is that you're also in a business where you've got to you're meeting people for the first time, and you have to create sort of an intimate an intimate relationship with this person. Suddenly you meet this person who's supposed to be your wife of 5 years.
This is Jane. You'll be making love to her in the back of a car.
And it's usually on the first day of shooting. It's always
Murphy's
on
Law.
get that out of the way.
Let's dig up the most personal thing you can dig up to tell this person so you can make this connection.
And as we were saying before, it's the most impersonal, really way to meet. Completely. It's a completely technical thing.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Los Angeles versus Canada.
Good God. Get ready. Load up a mag, my friend. Load up a mag.
Ship it!
Ship it and hopefully we'll find it.
Oh my God, I thought it was yours. No, I drank mine. Is yours here?
Oh, is this my room? Would I knock this back?
All right, back clean.
We are in Central America, Costa Rica.
That is, man. That's like butterscotch.
That is like
That's
butter.
scary.
Isn't it
Like
something?
butter.
It will betray you.
But it's
It will betray me.
It's not a liqueur.
Los Angeles? Well, USA versus Canada in terms of where your career should go, where you want to live. You live in Los Angeles.
No, I live not in
Come
Toronto,
back?
yeah.
Half and half?
Half an hour.
I moved back in '96.
Did you go down?
Vancouver with sort of brief flights down, like week here, week there, and sort of thing.
But as you talked about last night, there's something going on here. I mean, look at the table. Look around you. This is a third of the cast.
Yeah, this big network in Canada values this thing. This is like the big change, and you see it more and more now. This is like the bar's been raised over the last 5 years. And, I've been saying it to producers and the stuff I've been trying to pitch for 10 years. Is that the mood has changed in the country. Canadians will get behind something Canadian if it's worth a shit. If it's not,
And that's great.
it's just the same old CBC, blah, blah,
I still know
blah,
a lot
right?
of people that turn on the TV and then they see a certain something that's
that's
Canadian and they go,
Yeah, I
I
know.
resent that at a certain point, and I understand it.
But less and less and less.
I don't exactly know what it is.
I know what it is. It's just like, it's
You
not
know,
American. We're
yeah.
comparing ourselves to American all the time.
And if you're force-fed something, like as we are growing up, you develop an appetite for that thing. But is that real? Like is that something that you want to adhere to? No, like a good story is a good story, whether it's told in America, Canada, Australia, Japan.
But it certainly
It's
has
a strange
changed.
place.
Certainly has changed here since I came back from England in '78, '79. Boy, it's different here now. Even since '89, it's different.
And what's the biggest change?
It's that the public, you can see they value the stuff that's being made here, and they look for the things that are interesting and they get behind it. I had that experience with New Waterford Girl, in addition to Da Vinci, where they were going to give it 1 week, and then it was going to be replaced by the Italian Canadian Film Festival, a date we don't miss on our calendar ever. And so it was going to get the 1 week in there, and it ended up running like 10 weeks, and we're like jumping up and down inside. Today I went down there on a Saturday. I couldn't get into my own movie. In Toronto, in Yorkville.
But that's because they
And
got
then they moved it into 2 theaters and knocked the Tom Cruise movie out.
But that's because they got behind it.
But they didn't get behind it. The public got behind it. The word went around so fast that they said they were behind it all the time, but they were never behind it all the time. They were watching. Wait, that's the game here.
Word of mouth.
It's
And
tough.
maybe there where the relationship
made 2
between the
films.
audience
It's
and
tough.
the storytellers is more symbiotic. Like the fact in LA, it's about marketing. You get one film that you don't know why it was successful, but it was successful. So they'll like regurgitate like 9 films that are in that vein, thinking that it's going to
I
work
guess
out.
30% of what the other one
Yeah.
did, they're cool with that.
So like in the States, you can to me the idea is you throw it, you have enough, the money faucet is on so full force that you throw out 100 seeds, and the one that has a little bit of a green shoot, then you go toward that thing, and that's how it's built.
And it's
In
going to pay
Canada-
for all the other ones.
Exactly. In
Yeah,
Canada, you have
exactly.
like we can only really afford 10 seeds, so we have to invent
it.
this group of people who are going to determine which seeds we're going to actually plant, and it's a different way of looking at the world.
Have you ever seen so much money spent on Mission to Mars? Have you ever?
No, I haven't. And
How long were you?
I was on that for 8 weeks. And
how many days did you shoot?
maybe 10. I do 10 to 12.
Ideal.
But I mean, you know, that's the difference in the you know, it's what Michael was saying. The money faucet is on, and that's how they solve problems. If there's a problem, they throw money at it. They don't stop to figure out what the problem is and how to solve the problem. They just keep throwing money at it until the problem either goes away or there's so much money on top of it that we just don't worry about
it's so antithetical to why storytellers tell stories. You know, you kind of go, was there no one in the room during Hudson Hawk meetings where someone went, just a second, we actually don't have a script. Shut up, Bob. Shut up, Bob. That Bob couldn't raise his hand and go, we actually don't have a blueprint to build a house, and we're going to pour all this money into a house that there's no blueprint to build. At least at least in this country, you kind of go, you can't even start to build a house unless you have kind of a blueprint to build a house.
But it really is.
You can't get funding unless you have a script.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is apples to oranges. I mean, the way they do things in the States, or at least what they propose is what they're doing, is that they are allowing, with all of this abundancy of cash, to allow artists to be artists, for the actors to have their fits and walk off set, for the directors to say, you know what, throw out today's thing. I'm changing everything. I'm going to do these scenes. I heard of one actor who will remain nameless, who was working up in Toronto recently.
Come on.
And he's very he's very famous for showing up on the day and looking at the sheet and going, no, I don't want to do any of these scenes. You know what? No, we're not going to do any of those scenes. And he'd go to the director and say, you know what scene I really feel like doing today is this scene. Well, okay, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. You can do that scene because we have the money for everybody to be as artistic as they want to be. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know if I can argue with that.
No,
I don't know.
That's not artistic.
I don't think
really.
there's anybody at this table who I mean, Canadians have great work ethic, I gotta say that, and I don't think there's anybody at this table who would say that that's the right way to do it. But at the same time, if I was allowed to show up on set every morning and say, I don't want to do those scenes, I feel like doing this scene, and
There
have
are
everybody
many,
just
many-
change everything, it might be kind of fun, I don't know.
There are many days where I didn't feel like, dropping in the mud to break down my wardrobe on this thing, but we did it, man.
Yeah, it's part of the.
And that's
part of the
good,
fun.
though. I mean, it's good when things aren't in your control, and that's how you get surprised.
Yeah.
Do you have to go south?
No, I haven't.
I think you used to have to.
You know what?
I mean, I think it'd be stupid for any of us to say no. You can't afford not to check that out, because it says something about the nature of your ambition if you don't.
Yeah.
And people won't take you seriously. What are you doing? That used to be the case. What are you doing in Toronto if you're so good? What shouldn't you be in LA? That's why I used to get a lot when I came back from England.
Sure.
So there's no point being in Toronto.
But so everyone goes out to out to Oz to have that experience, because you're drawn toward that pool of opportunity where you want to go out there. But the thing you realize very quickly is that it's a machine. That place is like a machine that if you're not on fire when you come in the door, that machine doesn't have the time of day for you. And it's not. I spent 8 years out there, and I will never go out there again and stand on Main Street, USA, at the casino and put audition coins into that slot.
Yeah, that's.
I won't do that again.
That's a good way of putting it.
You believe that I've had one or two actors say we don't need a Canadian source system. Thank you very much.
Well, I think you're going to get one whether you want one or not. Because, if people are going to watch Da Vinci or watch 100 Days in the Jungle or something like that, they're going to get attached to the actors in it. And they're going to want to see them in the next thing they do.
I think it's a good way to get people into theater, which is a big problem, is getting people into theaters, getting theaters to show the Canadian films. Is people need to have one reason to go to the film.
And that reason has been propagated by Americans. We will go to see that movie because so-and-so is in it.
Special effects.
And there are things to learn from both camps, but I don't believe that, I think that it's an antithetical way to tell stories. That, okay, I'll go to, and maybe it'll be a good story, regardless of how I've been drawn into it. You know what I mean?
It is harder, I think, though, for the Canadian industry to do that than it is for, say, the British or the Australian industry.
Yeah.
Because, and that often comes up, well, the Australians have their own industry for their own people, why can't the Canadians do it? And the simple fact of the matter is that we're right next door, we're right on their border, and I think based on some sort of legal thing from back in the 20s, there's only so much, when the film industry first started in Hollywood, there was some sort of law that came up between the United States and Canada, which
It's the
said
same territory.
Which it's the same territory, and the United States wanted to have the rights, and so they said that Canada had to be put into sort of the foreign film market. And the Canadians at the time said, sure, go ahead, this film thing's never going to take off. Yeah. And they've been fighting against it ever since. But it's hard to actually develop a Canadian film industry for that reason alone, is because we're right next door, we're bombarded by their stuff, and there's really not a lot we can do about it.
We have our own voice, though.
We all, there's a lot we want to do about it,
make
you know?
movies about wheat farmers.
Well, wheat farmers don't want to watch movies about wheat farmers. You make films that are real and have an emotional experience.
Wait a minute, wheat farmers can be real and have an emotional. They can do nude seeds in
Exactly,
wheat.
but that's what I'm saying is.
Hey, there's nothing more Canadian than waving fields of wheat and beaver.
Potash.
Potash.
But we've made films about that and no one sees them.
I got some quick questions and I'll let you go. Why'd you do KISS?
I did KISS because I loved the script, and basically that's how I found it was one of the most interesting things to come out that I'd read as a Canadian film. It was an independent Canadian film, and I wanted to do it.
Why'd you do Mustard?
Mr. Bad.
Probably for the same reason, you know. I think that, you know, unlike the Americans, we look at, you know, if I were to have, like, you know, pre-planned my career in some way, you know, to go, well, if I do that, then I'll get to do that and work with that person. If I do that, then maybe I'll get to do that.
Yeah, no.
I think that, you know, we're kind of trained as a part of our kind of heritage to just wipe the slate clean each time and go, is that a story that I want to tell? You know, and you know, harkening back to
Which is one of the benefits of being a Canadian actor. So you're not really into that system.
because you're not, and you can't be, and nothing is going to equal anything else. Everything is lateral. So if you get hit by the bus at the end at this rap party, then that was the last story you told. So you end up having to come in with this work ethic of going, do I want to tell that story?
Yeah.
Is that a story that I feel like I want to pour my blood into that chalice for? Yeah, okay, it is. And then you go and you pour.
Why'd you shoot Razor's X?
Step and Razor, we did that. I did that because I had been on a bad television series. Well, the stories weren't that good, but you know, I like the shows. But at the end of it, I felt like retiring. And then I heard the story. I thought it was good, and that if I did it, I would surprise people, and that would maybe get me better parts. So it would get people thinking about me the way that I started out. Okay.
Why'd you do Roller Coaster?
It's one of those things, I mean, as a sort of like an 18-year-old, I guess I was 16 when I did that. The sort of teen wave that goes on right now.
Is that thing with David Mulligan?
Yeah.
Started at the PNE. That was pretty good.
Amazing. Yeah, I saw that.
Basically, it was just a script that was different, that was just struck a chord somewhere, that was an actual something about teenagers and what they're going through, rather than just selling teenagers as sex symbols and, you know, selling sex, which is so prominent in my age range. And that's a huge reason that I'm still in Canada, is because I can work as an actor and
It's like an adult. Yeah.
as an adult, instead of going, you know, most of the stuff that I get from you know, a lot of the stuff that is getting produced for people my age is like that, very exploitive, and I just felt like Roller Coaster was a real great film.
Yeah, it was good.
Quickly, what's the firstly, what is the most romantic thing you've done?
What do you mean by romance?
The most romantic thing you've done in your life, in your own personal life?
Oh, in the personal life.
You start with flowers and work out. Proposals.
Oh, Jesus.
I think I married my wife the third time. I think that was pretty romantic.
That's fair.
When I married my wife like the third time, I thought that was pretty romantic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say, well, pretty much every second of my life with Tammy has been pretty romantic.
Well, it seems that way.
Yeah,
Okay, let's get
there's
in.
way too many. She'd be the one to ask, but we're a pretty romantic couple.
Yeah, that's one of those questions that you can't really answer yourself.
And it's so separate to doing the business. When you meet someone, you know, I'm with an actor now.
Doing Mission to Mars.
That was the most romantic thing.
How come you didn't put on Valentine's Day? You ever been kicked out of a bar brawl? Anybody?
So many of these questions
maybe
just
tonight.
don't apply to me.
Maybe
I
tonight.
just got into bars like last year.
And boys, he got carded.
I thank you for your time, for your talent, for your friendship. I appreciate it very much for doing this, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Well, thanks a lot. It was fun.
Thanks. There you go.
Okay, now let's really Who was that actor?
You guys are.
Oh, he's still rolling.
I thought you said it was going to be 15
You know what the
minutes.
most amazing thing was? Like 4 actors actually. We all actually gave each other, a chance to talk.
That was great.
It was really rare.
Well, it wasn't hard for me, God. I felt like I was just like, sat in an episode of The Actors Studio.
Oh, in the States.
You do a slightest little thing that's interesting, and
And a lot of it is to do with a theatrical tradition. If you grew up in England or New York or Canada, you have a theatrical tradition, which means that you've come from a place where storytelling and a vocabulary to talk about story, it's inherent. It's there. If anyone around this table would have grown up in Los Angeles and hoped to get in touch with those teachers that we talked about earlier in the conversation, never would have fucking happened.
No. Well,
Never. The chances that it would have happened would have been very rare.
And one of the things I want, and that's exactly right. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was earlier was that, you go to Los Angeles for one reason and one reason only, which is that you cannot shake the idea of becoming famous. And that's why you go.
because you need famous to get parts.
Because we used to. That's true. But you don't. But it's that sort of ego. It's that little evil ego guy going. Don't you want your face on the cover of all those magazines?
Yeah, but why?
Or
don't you want to
even-
just get parts?
Or even that
That's
you
the
get
only
to
reason
tell
if you look at
stories.
the real reason you want it, it's just to get the job.
I think that's a Whoa! I think that's a justification. I think that sure enough, if you go to LA, you're gonna. That's when the phone rings and they say, "We need you back in Canada to do this thing," Because as soon as you go there, they go, "Oh, he must be somebody," and you head back.
Canadian.
But it's like this
That's
weird
less and
thing,
less
which is
now.
like.
It is this pool of opportunity that you feel this pull to tap into. But the truth is,
It's so not about the storytelling and the craft, and LA is all about.
And it took
And
8
you know what? I
years.
don't mean Al Pacino movie things. You don't go on those kind of jobs. I don't know how you get on those jobs.
That's their thing.
But if you're in Toronto, you might get one.
Yeah.
Because Al Pacino's coming to shoot somewhere in Vancouver.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
some great director like Sidney Lumet.
You'll have a
Sidney
couple.
Lumet can't get a job in the States. What happens to America? They can't give Sidney Lumet a movie now.
I know.
Like I think there's a natural kind of arc in your career where you kind of go you want those opportunities. You want to have that Oz kind of feeling of, hey, I would love to work on heavily subsidized films where I get to tell those stories with that money faucet on. But you get to a point where I know that I got to a point where it was like, you know what? If I'm lying on my deathbed and I look over at some shelf where there's like those are the finite number of stories I told. I don't care whether they're American, Australian, Canadian. Those are the speaking of Actors Studio, I remember of all people, Alec Baldwin really impressed me because he kind of said, you know what, do you have anything to say to the young actors in this room? And the one thing he said is, you all come into your career thinking that, okay, I'm going to tell 1 billion stories, I'm going to be 1 billion different characters, and I'm going to do all this. But he says the truth is, you know what, you're going to tell this many stories, you're going to tell this many roles in your life, and you got to set your priorities right now. What do you want to do? What do you really want to do, regardless of the market?
That's about motive. That's about what is your motive. I mean, if your motive is to tell 1 billion stories and 1 billion different characters, then you don't worry about the fact that you're never going to be famous because you go to LA and you try to, Peter, we see you as the wasp. We see you as the guy. And you go, what? I'm not the wasp. I'm not. And then, they really want to pigeonhole you.
Yeah,
and if you accept that, and if you go, all right, I'm the wasp, then you've got a chance at the brass ring of fame. But if you don't, so it all comes down. And the thing about Canadians is that when we're down there in LA, that is so distasteful to us that it's completely. very difficult to actually get up there. You
It's
know,
like
because
being asked, you know, you go into auditions. I remember the first time I was in LA, and you know, like the first 4 meetings I had, the questions were like, do you do comedy or do you do drama? And you just go, what are you talking about?
Well, I remember that story about your demo reel. I mean, Dave Makepeace was telling me you had to redo your demo reel because from scene to scene to scene, they couldn't spot you.
I gave my demo reel over, and you think as a Canadian, you think, okay, I'm going to pull these things together. Versatile. Be versatile. That's, you know, theatrical tradition and all that. I play different characters. And I remember it went to like the head of casting at Paramount, who was a woman, and the woman phoned back the manager, could you get the hire to do the agent's job of what they do in Canada. And the woman phoned back and said, you know what? You send me this tape with all these different people on it. Which one's Michael? And she was relaying this phone call to me, saying, "Well, no, they're all Michael. They're all Michael. That one." And that's what I was doing inside. I was going, "Yeah, mission accomplished, man. Mission accomplished." But the end of the phone call, the punchline was, "She doesn't want to see you. She won't see you. She can't combobulate that.
She needs to know who you are.
She needs to know who you
Those
are
are the
now."
people you bypass, man.
But
Yeah,
these are
like-
But you
these are big
can't
people.
bypass them if you're there. This was
These are
head of
huge
casting at
people.
Paramount. You can't
How do you
bypass
You
them.
got to forget
You got to
Paramount.
go through that office.
Yeah.
Are you hooked in?
Yeah,
Okay, I want to ask him. Come on.
I gotta do a battery change. Sorry.
It's what very
you don't play
turned
ball,
off
you're on
with
drugs.
when they
Or
hear the
there's
star
something wrong with
system
you.
is
You're an
just
anger
the name.
holic.
The star system. What the star system actually is just forming a community of actors where everyone supports each other and then displays it and so the public can see it.
Are you leaving?
Yeah, I gotta go to the washroom.
No, you can't. This is the ball.
Brendan, just for a second, just for a second.
No, hold it, man. Hold it, man. Hold it, man.
Because, what? I know you looked at the notes that I was carrying, but I saw that, I underlined that one story about the penis. If
Well,
you
the
could
penis
tell the
mustard
guys.
bath, I
Do
know that
do you know, is it what? Could you tell him, please, just once?
What, the penis?
But why you did
You had to do a scene.
I had to do a scene where it was a masturbation scene in the thing, and you know the director said, "Well, how are we going to do that?" And I said, "Well, how are we going to do that? There's going to be 60 people standing around. I'm going to be I'm going to be hard pressed to get that happening there. So you know, what are we going to do?" And at one point it was like, "Well, you know, there's this root that you sell in Guyana, and apparently it gives you a 24-hour, you know what, right there." So, and I said, "You know what? A, I'm not going to walk around with a 24-hour erection. B, I don't want, you know, that." So it was like, you know, it was just like one of those things where, why don't you fit me for like a prosthesis that I can have? And then, you know, the joke was, you know, like some guy in the airport had to, like, you know, they fitted me, and they you know, they said, you know, you got it, and some, you know, poor schmuck at the airport had to cross the border with with my schlong.
Serial numbers on it.
But I mean, they can't show it anyway, so.
You know,
Yeah,
they did show it.
They did show it. That's why the film never got seen, I think. It's only because of that one scene. It was a terrific movie.
I never kept the schlong.
But
No.
the director
See,
kept
okay, well, I got a story about Paris, France, which is that there's a scene in Paris, France where I had to, you know, Leslie Hope is doing something and I have to masturbate to what she's doing. And I mean, this is how like crazy we were in terms of talking about work ethic. We were like sitting there on set and they were trying to think, I had to come off a sofa onto the floor and they were having a hard time following me down to the floor, and they got into this big whisper thing, which is horrible, don't you find? When they all get into a big huddle. What are they talking about? So I just basically, I'm lying on the floor naked, and I just went like, "Jerry, what's going on? What's all the whispering about?" He goes, "Well, you know, you're masturbating, and we can't see your erection, and we're trying to follow you down the floor." And like, we were so primed that we just, "I'll get an erection. Just clear the set. Let me get an erection." And he just kind of went, "Okay, Pete, you need to take a downer right now because we can't show an erection. That's the whole point. We can't show. So even if you want to get one, we can't really show it. So just relax, you know." And
This is such a strange
So-
way to make a living.
but I'm wondering what you know. So they actually showed you with a thing. Like
No, I had the
you know,
prosthesis.
It looked real. I mean,
But that's
Yeah,
all
by
they
the way, I
yeah.
just want to ask you, did you fudge it a bit?
What do you
Was it
mean?
slightly larger than maybe you see?
Well, it's definitely an X rating, though, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, no, it was a non-rated. It was such a sweet film, except for that scene.
God damn it.
And it completely ruined any chance they had to get a major release. I guess I had the editor who cut Booze Can had cut that movie, And he kept telling me this story over and over again because I could not grasp why the director wanted the scene in the movie. It couldn't have been from the actor.
And
Like,
again, why is this in here? Like, okay, I gotta wrap my head around. Okay,
But you
it's
can't fight. At that
it's
point in your career,
you
you can't fight
it's
as
like,
much.
This is about the character. Like, this is about him fighting to, get off something that he can't, and all that stuff. Making a love scene a scene again.
yeah, and once you justify it, you can't shake it out of your head, so you're going to do it.
I'm glad that we were able to bring you together.
Oh, fuck, that was
I'm
great.
glad we were able to
Great
come
time.
together.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations again, man, for getting out of the jungle.